What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Deadbirds Discussion. Today, I am joined by Braden Towers, also known as Show Me Baseball. You can follow him on Twitter at Show Me Baseball. Braden, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Cardinals just came off of the Brewers series, doing this right after the game tonight. They lost 2 out of 3 in the series, but they did win tonight, which was kind of a bit of a surprise. So we're doing all right going into the next couple series.
Well, there's no doubt that even though the Deadbirds dropped 2 out of 3 to the Brewers, they've been trending in the right direction lately. However, let's start with this, Braden. I know, well, they call us Deadbirds Discussion. We call ourselves Deadbirds Discussion for a reason. We like to look at things from the negative angle, and one negative angle with the Deadbirds lately is even though they've been doing better, their attendance has been pretty poor, including the other night where there was maybe 15,000 fans in attendance for a game that you would think attracts a lot of fans. You know, like you said, David Freese was coming back to town and all this stuff. Barely anyone there. And, you know, we talked about it off air, what it means, but I'll let you go ahead and take that one first.
Yeah, I think the opening game against the Brewers was very telling for Cardinals fans. We just came off of sweeping the Pirates and the Royals in back-to-back series. I don't think that we had any days off in between that. But to do that, I think that was only the second time that the Cardinals have done that in franchise history, is sweeping 6 games on the road. So seeing them do that, and then the team comes back to St. Louis. David Freese is there in a Cardinals uniform for the first time since, I believe, 2013, celebrating the 2011 World Series, which I don't think needs any explanation for any Cardinals fans or any MLB fan at all. But to only see 15,000 people there was sad, but it's also telling that Cardinals fans are not happy with the front office. That shows that they're not happy with even limited success, because this team, no matter what, has been a disappointment this year. Their expectations were to win the division, and I think we're still like 10, 11 games out of the division, and we're not going to catch the Brewers. The Brewers, in my eyes, are probably World Series favorites in the NL. Yeah, you can say the Dodgers and all of the NL West. My pick right now is the Brewers, and to see us not be ahead of them, they've made the moves that they needed to. We didn't. So to see them ahead, that shows that the fans are not taking kindly to the organizational failure. And you can see that in the attendance numbers. And I think that's going to force the front office to do something this offseason.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, just like we were talking about off air. Like I said, too. This is the fans showing that even though the Cardinals have been playing a little bit better recently, they don't want to give Mo in the front office the idea that they're happy, that they're satisfied, because they're not. And we all know the team is still not a World Series contender. Everyone knows that even if the Cardinals continue this upward trend and they sneak their way back into the playoff picture, maybe get one of those last wild card spots, that they're not going to last long anyway in October. So it's just, it's got to be maddening if you're a Cardinals fan.
For sure. I think the best possible scenario for St. Louis right now is getting that second wild card spot. San Diego recently has not been playing good baseball. They just signed Jake Arrieta because Yu Darvish went down. Their pitching is severely hurt. Their offense, Tatis, he was out for an extended time, and even since he's been back, they got no hit by a guy who was making his first career start, and that hadn't happened since like Bumper Jones in the 1800s, which MLB Twitter has turned into a meme. But San Diego has not been playing good baseball. Cincinnati, I believe, lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs, and the Deadbirds weren't able to make up any ground on that. They were able to make up ground when they went on that 6-game winning streak, and I believe we're 3.5, 4 games back of the second wild card spot right now. So we are in the mix if we continue to play good baseball. I mean, I know we play the Pirates in Detroit next, So if we can go on another 6-game winning streak, hey, I think we're probably in sole possession of that second wildcard spot, at least for that time. San Diego has an absolutely brutal schedule for the rest of the stretch. Cincinnati, I think, plays Chicago like 9 times, but if they continue to look pretty poor against Chicago, and I think I forget which one it was, but I think it was Castellanos or Winker went on the DL or the IL. One of them went on the IL. So having them out, that's going to hurt the Reds' chances. And the Cardinals are finally getting healthy. We're having Michaelis start against Pittsburgh tomorrow. So having the pitching staff back, I know Kim went down with an injury, but Flaherty has looked great in the 2 starts that he's made. So it's really good to see the pitching staff finally come to shape. Yeah.
Well, I know it's kind of a little bit older news. The series was a little bit of a while ago now with the Royals, but since you did go to some of the Cardinals games, right?
Yeah, I went to all.
When they came to town? Okay, cool. So going there and watching those games, any big takeaways from that series? And you think there's much to take away from beating the Royals?
I mean, it's always good to watch the Cardinals in Kansas City because there's always a pretty big crowd of St. Louis fans, especially when we were there. Saturday and Sunday especially, there were tons of red in the stands. I would say my biggest takeaway from that series, that was the first time that I think I've ever seen Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt hot together at the same time, where they both put together a really good series. Like that entire road stretch, that was the first time that those two really put it together. So seeing the two of them succeed was probably the biggest takeaway. And I feel like if they're able to be on the same page, Goldie and Arenado, if you see them on the same page, I think that that's one of the most deadly duos in the entire league. And I think that's the team with the full potential that you can be at. Because I know Nolan hit a home run in every single game, and him and Tyler O'Neill hit back-to-back home runs. And then kind of looking into the future against Milwaukee, I know that O'Neill hit a 3-run home run tonight when we were down 4-1 or 4-2, which put us back in the lead when the game basically looked like it was lost compared to any other Cardinals game.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I know in our last episode, we discussed our opinions on the J.A. Happ and John Lester moves, and we weren't all that psyched about really either of them. And then I believe in John Lester's first start, it came after that episode. He got shellacked, but since then, has your opinion changed at all on either of those guys?
J.A. Happ he's been insane. I don't know how. It doesn't make sense, but J.A. Happ has like a 1.62 ERA right now and has been pitching insane. I don't know how. I mean, it's probably because he faced, I believe, the Pirates and the Royals, and I think he pitched against in that Brave series as well. But he's been great in all 3 starts. Granted, again, it's only 3 starts, but he's been good. He was fine. I can admit that I was at least a little bit wrong about that. He's been good. It's been a limited time, but he's been good. He's done basically what we needed him to do. Lester, less so. He got absolutely shelled in that first game against the Braves. I think he gave up like 6 runs in the first 2 innings and only made it to 4. And then his start against Kansas City was his best. He looked pretty solid in that one. And then tonight, I think, was his 3rd start, which he made against Milwaukee. We won the game, but he did not pitch good. Again, he gave up like 4 runs in the 4th inning when we were up 1-0, which kind of made it look like the game was put out of reach. But the offense just came out of nowhere and exploded, which was very surprising to see tonight.
I agree. One thing we do need to talk about, though, so you probably know what I'm about to talk about now, but Cardinals, their offense had been doing better lately, and a lot of that had to do with Dylan Carlson. He's been a stable piece, one of the more stable pieces on the Cardinals throughout the season. Now he's going to the injured list. What does that mean for the Cardinals, and how are they going to deal with that?
That means Lars Newbar is going to get all the playing time, and I am completely fine with it. Carlson's been really good this year. He's not going to win Rookie of the Year. That probably goes to Jonathan India of the Reds. But Carlson's been a good, stable piece in the lineup. I think he's going to do well. He's going to make stable, good improvements in the coming years. Even this year, he's been a solid player. I think he's only trending upwards, and I'm really excited for his future. But with him on the IL right now, that just means that Lars Newbar is going to get more playing time, and he has been absolutely mashing recently. I know he hit another home run tonight. I think he's hit 3 now within the past 9 games of that entire stretch. Right as Carlson went out, Newbar hit a home run, and then his first game against the Royals hit another home run. And then he, because of that, he came in as a pinch hitter and got a home run against Kansas City. And because of that, he's basically solidified himself as a starter. With Carlson going on the IL, that meant that we called up Austin Dean, which that's not a move that I am particularly happy with. Dean was not good earlier in the year when we had him on the team in April. Basically, him and Justin Williams platooned out in right field. Bader was hurt, and then we moved Carlson to center then. Dean was not good then. He's not good now. I don't know why we keep calling him up. I think Justin Williams is still hurt, which is why we didn't call him up.
A fan of Justin Williams.
What'd you say?
I'm saying I'm a fan of Justin Williams, especially over Austin.
Justin Williams had a couple hot streaks. I remember against Philadelphia and Washington, he kind of went on a hot streak. Went like 4 for 9 or something with like 2 home runs. He had a good 2 series or something like that. He definitely would have been better than Austin Dean. Again, I'm not 100% aware if he's healthy right now, but I much rather would have seen him called up than Dean.
Yeah, I can agree. I have just been fond of Justin Williams. I think he gives a lot of effort too. Now, something that I think it was today, the news broke that the Cardinals are in talks with Yadi or Molina on a contract extension, and I gotta ask you your thoughts on that.
The entire Cardinals fan base is completely divided on Molina right now, as basically they have been since 2019-ish. I'm fine with him getting another year, like really, because that almost guarantees that Waino's going to stay another year, and I really like Waino because Waino is a very good pitcher still. That 88 complete game shutout against the Pirates, I don't care that it's the Pirates. Him throwing 88 pitches, complete game shutout, is at almost 40 years old, is absolutely insane. But if that means that Waino's going to be here another year, I like that. But Yadi himself, I want Kisner to get more playing time. Yadi's looking to get around 9 mil, probably a bit less. I'm assuming it's going to be like 7 or 8 this time. My role that I would put Yadi in, he catches for Waino, that's it. Kisner catches for everybody else. When Carlos Martinez earlier this year, he's probably done for the year and is done putting on a Cardinals uniform. But when he was playing this year, when Yadi was hurt, Kisner was catching for him. And I said this in the last podcast, but Martinez's stats with Kisner behind the plate were extremely better than they were with Yadi behind the plate. And I think that's like a general assessment for almost the entire pitching staff, that when when Kisner's behind the plate, not Yadi, Kisner is better equipped to handle the pitching staff almost in some scenarios. I don't think that he is with Yadi, but I think with just about almost every other pitcher, I'd rather Kisner behind the plate at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Molina's in his twilight, and I feel like his justification for being on roster for most Cardinals fans that want to keep him is it's Molina. Like, we love Molina, but it's like, what has he done for us lately? He's fallen off from the Molina that he used to be. And to me, giving him a contract extension, it's just like, I don't understand it, because you can't even argue that it's something to put butts in seats, because Molina, he's definitely a fan favorite, someone that people like to see because it's Molina, but even at this point, I mean, you look at the attendance, it's bad. Like, there's just, I don't know. I just feel like signing Molina is to a contract extension is a very meh move, but
It obviously doesn't move the needle at all, but if Yadi wants to continue playing and he were to take his playing somewhere else, that would hurt so much. I legitimately, I could
yeah.
not watch seeing Molina in another uniform, and I know that was speculated this offseason, and that would have been absolutely horrible to see. But I'll be fine with him in a Cardinals uniform for another year. The only thing, like I said, more limited role. Him and Kisner are obviously splitting more and more of the catching duties. I know Kisner caught tonight and we won. But Yadi batting fifth in the lineup right now is so incredibly dumb. It makes absolutely no sense to continue to bat him fifth. Newbar has again been on a hot streak. He deserves a spot higher. Bader, he's cooled off since he went on that entire July hot streak.
Yeah.
But I would still value Bader more as a hitter than I would Yadi. DeJong, I'd probably bat DeJong 8, Yadi 7, Bader 6, Newbar 5, Arenado Goldschmidt 4, O'Neill 4, Arenado 3, Goldschmidt 2, Carlson or Edmund 1. I think that's the lineup. And then with shortstop, I think you have to play Edmundo Sosa. Edmundo Sosa has been great. I've been very happy with how he's played.
Greatest Sosa in MLB history.
It's not even close. Sammy Sosa does not live up to Edmundo Sosa at all. It's not even close. 4-hit game against Kansas City. Just saying. Sammy Sosa could never.
He couldn't. I have to ask you though, since Jack Flaherty made his first start back the other night, since he went on that 60-day IL a while back, what did you think of his first game back?
I was there for his first game, and it was such a relief to watch Flaherty pitch again. It was like the energy around just being on Twitter and seeing everybody's reactions to Jack Flaherty coming back, or just being in the stadium with a bunch of other Cardinals fans. That energy felt like something that we haven't seen since Flaherty went on the IL, and then after he went on the IL, we went on a 6-7 game skid. And that's when all of these problems started, and we had an absolutely horrific June. So to see him back, he threw 6 scoreless innings against Kansas City. It was a really good transition for him because the main issue for him was, is he going to be able to swing the bat? He doesn't have to do that in KC because we have the DH. So that wasn't an issue. And again, he was able to go 6 scoreless. I think they had him on a pitch count because he only went to 80 or something. But it was very nice to see him return. And then that start against Milwaukee as well. Yesterday, he had a great start, and then the bullpen kind of blew it. That's mainly due to Mike Shiltz, which had people calling for his head last night a lot.
Well, I kind of feel like calling for Shiltz's head has been a popular go-to this season. But I'm going to try to stay away from that again this episode just because I feel like there's already enough. I mean, everyone already does that. There's enough room for all that for everyone else. Now, 30 coming back, if Cardinals do make a nice run here to finish off the season and sneak into the postseason, he's going to be a big part as to why. But looking at the standings right now, the Cardinals currently sit at 62 and 58, just above 500. But they're only a few games back of the Reds for second in the NL Central. Looking at the schedule right now, the Cardinals take on the Pirates, then the Detroit Tigers, then the Pirates again. Then they'll have a chance to really make up ground against the Reds in that series. So this, to me, right here over the next couple weeks is going to be probably the most important stretch for the rest of the season. What do you think?
I think if you look further into the schedule in September, it is absolutely brutal. Uh, we play LA, San Diego, Milwaukee like 3 times. Um, and we play a series against Chicago as well. But we absolutely, these next 3 series against Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Pittsburgh, these are our last like 3 easy beat 'em up teams. We have to we need to go like 8-1 in these games. We have to make up significant ground to be in a really good position going into that September final sprint. Going into that Cincinnati series, we need to win that Cincinnati series, and then when we play Milwaukee, have to win that Milwaukee series. We just have to keep winning these series. Doesn't matter if it's 2-1 or sweeping them. 2-1 is the minimum that we need, except out of these Detroit and Pittsburgh series where it is essential that we need sweeps. We need to rack up all the wins that we can right now before we get into that final stretch.
And you need to create a cushion for yourself for when you do play some of these teams like the Dodgers and Reds where you're not going to have a lot of margin for error. So it's time to start building a cushion now and gaining ground on the Reds and the NL Central. And maybe, hopefully, if best case scenario, they do end up passing the Reds before they start these series against the Brewers and the Dodgers and some of those tougher teams.
For sure. I think the San Diego series, that's, I believe, the 4th to last series that we play. That's going to be probably the most pivotal series of the season because I think we're going to be more in a fight with San Diego than we are with Cincinnati. Or San Diego might just completely fall off the cliff and miss the playoffs. But the Reds and San Diego, those are the 2 teams that I am watching the scoreboards of every single night, wondering how much that's going to impact St. Louis. For sure, I know San Diego, like I said before, they have an absolutely brutal September as well. I haven't looked at the Reds' schedule, so I'd have to look at that to see how tough their September is. But like I said, I think they still have to play the Cubs a couple times because they haven't been playing them that much.
Right. And one more thing, and then we'll probably wrap up this episode. But the Cardinals, obviously, like I said, regardless of what happens the rest of the season, really no one sees them as a World Series contender. But let's say they sneak into the playoffs, maybe win a wild card game, but then get bounced in the NLDS.
Yeah.
Does that change the way you feel about this season at all, or is the narrative largely the same as it is now when looking at the relationship between the fans and the front office?
I think that the narrative of this season has already been closed. It's been set. Even if we do make the playoffs, like the only thing that changes that is we win the World Series, which we're not going to do. We're not winning the World Series this year. There's no way. But unless we do, the narrative is set. This season was a failure. The fact that we are in a wild card chase, we should be chasing for the division. We're not going to get the division because we are way too far behind the Brewers, and the Brewers are too good. But going if best case scenario, we have to play a wild card game against the Dodgers or the Giants. And in that case, you're probably going to have Flaherty on the mound versus Buehler, Kershaw, maybe Bauer if he's back, but I doubt that. Or any of their other pitchers. It really doesn't matter. Dodgers have 5 aces, no matter what, and it's going to be up against Flaherty. So maybe you find that magic luck from 2013, 2014, and you beat the Dodgers, and then you go on to face San Francisco, who personally I think is going to fall apart in the playoffs. Would it be against St. Louis? Maybe, maybe not. If you magically win that series against San Francisco, then you probably go on to play the Braves or Milwaukee, probably Milwaukee, and then you get swept. Like, you don't make it past the NLCS. I'm sorry. That is maximum, kind of like 2019. But the narrative has been set that the fans are not happy with the front office. Even if we do make the playoffs, I think there's really not much would change. I think the general consensus on Paul DeJong is he needs to go. We need a second ace next to Flaherty as a starting pitcher, and we need bench bats for sure. I think that's the narrative going into the offseason and what the Cardinals need to address. And I think that Mo and the DeWitts are going to be forced into actually doing something about that.
Yeah, I feel like you really need a competent third hitter that is a borderline star, really. That's why now, obviously, with what's unfolded this season, this would not have been a good move, but that's why I would have been interested if I was the Cardinals front office in an Ozuna reunion, because Ozuna is a capable hitter. He was a streaky hitter in St. Louis, but when he was on, really helped out the offense. And, Mo, before they acquired Arenado, he was like, he basically said, I already got DeJong. Now the fans are clamoring for the next guy. And it's like, I can't give you
Goldie.
everything. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Goldie. But you know what I mean? So Mo kind of has this attitude where he's like, there, take that. Hopefully that's fine. And then when it's not fine, the fans want more. And he kind of gets pissed off that he has to actually do his job.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Cardinals, we're in a league now that it's going to be about offense. And a lot of these teams, they have almost 3 to 4 really good hitters in their lineup. And really, Cardinals only have 2 really good hitters, and then they have a bunch of guys that, are really up and down, to be honest.
I feel like O'Neill can merge into that third star, but I think
that's the problem is they have too many of these guys that are like, well, they could be that, and we're just kind of waiting on it every year. And fans, that's the whole getting impatient part that we've been talking about.
I feel like Mo, when he does his job, is one of, if not the best GMs in baseball. I feel like making that acquisition for Goldie, great move. Making the Arenado absolute fleece of a trade, steal, perfect moves. But he does that, and then he sits back and says, I've done enough. No. When he does that, that's when it is the most infuriating stuff of all time, because he just says, well, the pitching staff's just going to get healthy, and then we're going to go on and hopefully get a wild card spot. If you are just hoping for a wild card spot as a general manager, you need to be building your team for a World Series, or you need to be fired. And I don't know if Mo has that vision. I don't know if he has that vision for this team yet. But like I said, I feel like when Mo is actually doing his job, when he's going out making trades, he's doing a really good job. But when he's getting lazy and just signing current players to bigger contract extensions, like Matt Carpenter, for example, he saw, Matt Carpenter's doing good, and I don't feel like going out and getting anybody and making our team better, even though we've missed the playoffs for 3 straight years. So I'm just going to give Carpenter a 4 or 5 year contract, and he's going to make $20 million, and then he's going to be a bench bat and hit 170. That's just what happens when Mo gets lazy. So yeah.
No, totally agree. We could go on all night about that, but we've been going for a while now. Talked about a lot of stuff. It'll be an interesting next few series. Like I said, I think this is probably the most important stretch of the season for the Cardinals. So for everyone listening, enjoy the next couple weeks. It'll be interesting, and we'll be back soon to talk about it all once it happens. So we're going to be signing off. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. Some more Cardinals fans can find this. Deadbirds fans, sorry. And make sure you follow Braden at Show Me Baseball on Twitter. But that's all we got for today. Peace.